A deal on Dickens, who could resist? A stack of Austen, warmly kissed. Golden Age crime tales twist and turn, every page a treasure to learn. Books keep coming home with me, piles so tall they're all I see. Turn a page and sail the sea, reading always feels so free.
Hi, my name is Talia. Welcome to Talia Nerds Out. Just want to do a quick book review for No Wind of Blame. This is, I think I figured out this is my fourth Georgette Heyer mystery that I've read, and actually my fourth book of hers that I've read as well. Because the first one I did was Why Shoot a Butler? Then I did Death in the Stalks. After that was Behold, Here's Poison. And then I did the Christmas mystery, which is also known as Envious Casca. So this one here is actually right up there with the Christmas one, Envious Casca, for me. So No Wind of Blame. I started this on Friday for Big Book Summer. Finished it Monday morning, early in Monday morning, wee hours. So this is a very quick read. It's over 400 words, just because it's in that lovely country house mystery collection where it's got not only the really lovely heights and, feel to it, it also has nice margins, nice print setting. This is a lovely collection. All my Georgette Heyer mysteries are from this collection. I made a special point of picking them all up from the Country House Mystery Collection because I really love the look of them. They all have this. I have a couple of the other ones here too that I intend for Big Book Summer. So as you can see, they all have this rather lovely look to them where they look like they have metalwork, or what's intended to look like metalwork, on the edges of the book, plus, whatever classic kind of central picture you have there. And then usually some sort of pastel shade. So this one here, I think this is my first one that has more of a silver to it. I can't remember for certain for the other ones, but so the basics of this one, and I will try to avoid spoilers, at least for the whodunit part of things. If this is your first time coming from my channel for me doing a book review of a mystery, usually when I cover a mystery, because I am a huge fan of Golden Age mysteries, I judge most mysteries that I read by the basic, what I consider like the basic good qualities of Golden Age mystery. Does it do fair play? Does it engage in fair play, most importantly? Because if it doesn't engage in fair play or set up things well ahead of time, then I feel that the author fails. Even if you can go back later and go, oh, I might not have picked that up at the time, but I can see where the author kind of laid breadcrumbs. That's enough for me. All I need is that at some point, enough of a reference was made that even if I couldn't have used the tools at the time, upon a reread, it makes sense. A book loses its reread value if its ending, and this works for twist endings too for books, if your twist or your solving the mystery makes a reread worse. So like if you go back, it recontextualizes everything and then you're like, oh, that's weird now based off what I know now for the ending. No, if someone writes their mystery well, I should be able to reread it and then appreciate the artistry of the author upon the reread and go, oh, I can see where this was set up, even if I didn't pick it up at the time. Oh, I can see where, yes, some information was left out, but there was enough there that I don't feel like I just got kind of well, cheated. Because a lot of times the Golden Age mysteries, the idea of fair play is you, and I love this for some of them. This was something that came up in a book written by Winifred Peck, the sister of Father Knox, where she, and apparently this is not an uncommon thing, Golden Age mysteries that happen. She had a point right before the mystery was solved where there's like in bold letters, stop. Lock in who you think did this murder. Once you think you've locked it in, go ahead and read. And I love that because in a nutshell, it emphasizes that the Golden Age mysteries were very much of a game of wits between the author / the detective and the reader. It's a game. And that's part of what is so, I think, attractive for the Golden Age mysteries, besides the fact that you have the, good always wins in the end. And, if nothing else, you have Law and Order, coming on top, no matter what sort of bad thing happened. At the end of this mystery, if nothing else is certain, good will win out. But also there is that intellectual challenge. Can you match your wits with the author? But if you don't have the ability to trust in the author to play fair, then you lose that desire to match wits because you don't feel like you have even a chance of a level playing field. And that's where people like Agatha Christie do show their genius, is that if they manage to leave enough in the way of clues that, you go, oh yeah, I can see that. Oh, and she was particularly gifted at it. Other Golden Age mystery authors are better than others at it. I know that I read one by, what was his name? Melville. Something Melville. I can't remember the full name. He wrote one. It was called Quick Curtain. And I wasn't too thrilled about the way he did that one. But neither was Dorothy L. Sayers at the time when she did a review of it. So he didn't quite live up to the standard. But let's focus back on No Wind of Blame by Georgia Hare. I think she does meet the standard of fair play for the most part. Because I think that she lays out well enough where everyone might have a motive, everyone who's presented as potentially having a motive, you are not made to feel at the end that your murderer came out of nowhere. He or she is among the selected number of suspects that is being considered. So, because one of my pet peeves I come back to this I'm sorry for all the people who are fans of Thursday Murder Club, but that book is a prime example of a poorly set up mystery where they did not give you, where your person who commits the crime is not even considered in the list of suspects at any point ever until like last page. Very bad, very, very badly done, in my opinion. I honestly think that if that book was not so well written with the characters, if the characters weren't so sparkling, I don't think that it's a bad mystery book. It's a good character book. It's a bad mystery book, at least in the way of fair play mystery. And considering that's a very popular book, I probably am not very popular with my opinion in regards to that. But I stand by it 10 toes down. But this one does not make that same mistake. She very much comes from the fair play school of Golden Age mysteries, where everyone who is any person who might be the person who committed the crime is considered among the list of suspects by your detective. Thankfully, we're also dealing with Inspector Hemingway, who was in Envious Casca. I like him so much better than I do, I think it's Superintendent Hannaside, who was in both Death in the Stocks and in Behold, Here's Poison. I didn't care for that particular detective, and I was really glad once Hemingway came along instead, and I was so happy that Hemingway is the one in this one as well. In some ways, he makes me think, he gives me a similar feel that I get from Neo Marsh's detective. Why am I not remembering his name? Last. Hold on one sec. Alien. I had to look it up because it's driving me nuts. So it reminds me a little bit of Neil Marsh's detective Alien. But not like any, like in a one-on-one way. It's just, he has a similar feel to me. And I like Alien as well. So, so first of all, like I said, going to the detective, he has a lot more personality than Hannaside did, so which is why I've tended to like his mysteries better. But not in that overwhelming way that as much as I love Poirot, he is a very large personality. And I do appreciate when I have mysteries of someone who is an interesting character but doesn't necessarily have Poirot's bombastic type. Maybe that's not quite fair, but Poirot has a very loud personality, and I love Poirot. Poirot, I've read Poirot's mysteries for 20 some years. It's going on 30 years. Yeah, getting close to 30 years reading Poirot mysteries. So, yeah, it's just. So I have a fondness for a strong fondness for his character, but doesn't mean that I don't have a strong appreciation when I have a detective who is not quite as loud of a character, not quite as of larger in life of a character as Poirot, but still a very present personality in the story. And you get that with Hemingway in this. Now, Hemingway doesn't come in right at the beginning. I think it really combines the best of both worlds that you get with like a Miss Marple and a Poirot, where you have the personality that you get with a Poirot type character, not to the same extent of Poirot, but you also get some of the benefits that you notice with a Miss Marple, where because Miss Marple is so much in the background, sometimes her supporting cast really does have to shine, and you know, all the characters around whom the mystery revolves have to shine. And that's what you get with No One to Blame. You get that best of both worlds. I think that this is probably the cast that other than the ones from Envious. Actually, I think I like the cast in this even better than I do from the Envious Casca. Although I had quite a few characters I liked in the Envious Casca, this is probably the cast of characters I like the best of Georgette Heyer's. Because some of her cast from some of her previous mysteries, the people have been rather annoying, well written, but rather obnoxious. But it made sense within circumstance of why they were obnoxious. But I actually do rather like the cast in this. Sometimes I actually almost feel like a couple of the characters I could see in an Agatha Christie book. I could see both I'm looking up her name because I'm Ethelrude, I believe is how her name's pronounced. I'm sorry, Ermintrude. The whole time I'm looking at the book, when reading this book, I'm like, I have no idea how to pronounce that name. I think it's Ermintrude. So I could see both. I can see actually the three women. Any of these characters I could see in Agatha Christie mystery. They are very nice country house mystery type characters. I really did enjoy this because it feels like a nice, classic, cozy Golden Age mystery, country house mystery. Now, even though I do think that the mystery is well set up character-wise, and that's really the most important part, I don't even necessarily need to be able to guess how done-it. I'm more interested in the psychology of the whodunit and if they made the whodunit make sense. If the howdunit is a bit, requiring a bit of if it requires a bit of a suspension of disbelief, that's fine. I expect at some point in some of these Golden Age mysteries, I expect to maybe suspend some disbelief. I don't expect these to be like hard-boiled, like real-world type mysteries, like that you might see in something that's a little bit more grounded. But I want to be able to believe psychologically that these things are possible, and that it's not so wild, like, supernatural or something like that. Like, I want it to feel like it could happen, even if it's unlikely to have happened in that way. But it could have, and that's kind of where this one comes in. You have a way where some of the times that you'll see with some locked room mysteries, this is not a locked room mystery, but where you'll sometimes see some of the mechanisms used to make a locked room mystery work end up requiring a bit of a suspension of disbelief. You do get that with the way this murder does get successfully carried out, but because it psychologically makes so much sense, and I actually did make the connection of the why of whodunits before I was actually told, that I was very happy with the ending, even if I felt like I had to suspend things to a certain extent when I heard about how it was done. It worked. It was a bit creative, which that's fine. Like I said, there is that element that is allowed in the Golden Age mysteries, particularly from what I understand, people like, I haven't read John Dixon Carr yet, but from what I understand, John Dixon Carr might lean a bit heavy on some of the locked room mysteries might have mechanisms and stuff that, are a bit, straining the bounds of maybe what's likely. But if it's psychologically possible, if it's even remotely possible in reality, I'm willing to go along with it. And that's where this book succeeds very nicely. And like I said, it makes something that might be kind of like all right, yeah, that could happen, but, requires a bit of a suspension of disbelief. I don't care, because it's well set up psychologically. There's enough going on that for most of the book, you can say, well, it could be this person, it could be that person. Oh, I hope it's not this person. But, and especially because you have with Georgette Hare, the fact that she is very good at developing her relationships between her characters. Also, that's the other thing with this one is there was no one that I felt like, oh man, I don't want this person to end up with that other person. Like there was in Behold, There's Poison. I really didn't care for. There's a couple of hers where I really didn't care for the romantic pairing at the end. This one I felt did quite well. This one was, like I said, very easily. I think it is actually my favorite for books I've read so far. I was almost going to say it tied with Envious Casca, but I think this might pass up Envious Casca. This just feels like a classic, and it is a classic Golden Age country house mystery. Thoroughly enjoyed this. I wish that I had read it earlier, to be quite honest with you. This will be a definite reread for me, like most Golden Age mysteries are. I want to, meet these characters again. Typical of any Georgette Hare, of course, dogs are going to be a part of it, because I think the only one who didn't really have a dog in it was Envious Casca, because most of the time, most of her books that I've noticed, there's been a dog like somewhere near the central of the book, and that does happen here as well, because from what I understand, she was very much of a dog person, and it shows. Sorry, my mouth is dry. So I rated this on Storygraph as a 4.5. Actually, did I give it a full 5? I might have given it a full 5. I'm not sure if I didn't give it a full 5, I gave it pretty close to full 5. Thoroughly enjoyed this. I might have to go back and give it a full 5 if I didn't, because I really, really enjoyed this one. I look forward to reading Footsteps in the Dark, which I also understand is very good. Hemingway, I had high expectations for him after Envious Casca. He lived up to that expectation. I thought that he played off the other characters very well. He rolls with the punches very well, because you dealt with a couple of very dramatic characters in this, and he just took them in his stride and kind of, worked with their personalities in a way that not only was fun, but also worked towards what he was aiming at, which is, of course, was the solving of this murder. And he, as much as the reader sees this as a challenge to his own intellect, is like, okay, he feels like he's matching his wits with the murderer. Makes it a bit of a competition in that way. States as much as a competition that way, as well as the fact that, of course, he wants to bring a murderer to justice. So, yes, I think this is the best of the Georgia Hare mysteries that I've read so far. Look forward to reading more in the future. I do plan on reading more in the future for Big Book Summer. And this was my first Big Book Summer read. Very quick read, like I mentioned, for me. Read it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then very short time on Monday. So for a book that was over 400 pages, like I said, not counting the excerpt from Footsteps of the Dark, it was 411 pages. Including the excerpt, it was 426 pages, approximately. So if you've not read a Georgia Hare mystery, I do recommend this one. I really enjoyed it. Thank you very much for joining me for this book review of Georgia Hare's No One to Blame. Hope that you all have a very blessed day, and I will see you the next time. God bless. Bye-bye. Please feel free to put in your comments your favorite Georgia Hare book/mystery. God bless. Bye.
Books keep coming home with me. Piles so tall, they're all I see. Turn a page and sail the sea. Reading always feels so free.